Greetings all. I'd like to talk about cellular respiration, starting with how we metabolize glucose to get the energy we can use out of the energy in the food we eat, and then we'll move on to other carbohydrates, proteins, and fats as the source of our energy. In order for these videos to still be bite-sized chunks, however, let's talk about cellular respiration at different levels of complexity. Here, for level 1 level of complexity, let's just look at the big picture for cellular respiration with very few of the horrifying details. So we're going to start with glucose, we're going to add oxygen, we're going to end up with carbon dioxide plus water plus energy. How much energy? Enough to regenerate around 30 molecules of ATP for every molecule of glucose. So yeah, that's quite a bit of energy. By the way, this reaction is exactly the same balanced chemical equation that we have if we're burning glucose as a fuel. If you did invent some sort of engine that burned glucose as a fuel, would the exhaust smell like toasting marshmallows? Anyway, cellular respiration, just like the combustion of glucose, is an exergonic reaction because energy is exiting the reaction. We can introduce another fancy scientific word and say that the combustion of glucose is an oxidation reaction because all of the carbon atoms are being released as carbon dioxide, which is as many oxygen atoms as we can comfortably add to each carbon atom, and all of the hydrogen atoms in the glucose are being released as water molecules, and that's as many oxygen atoms as we can comfortably add to the hydrogen atoms. So we can say that cellular respiration is going to completely oxidize the glucose molecule. We can add even more fancy scientific words and say that the oxygen is being reduced because every oxidation reaction is coupled to a reduction reaction. By the way, we often call the combination a redox reaction. One oversimplified way to remember the difference is that oxidizing something adds oxygen atoms, while reducing something either removes oxygen atoms or adds hydrogen atoms. This usually works okay as a definition for biochemistry. It's maybe a bit too oversimplified for a general chemistry class, but okay, good enough for us. Now, if you're a photosynthetic plant, you can run this reaction in the other direction and use energy from sunlight to convert carbon dioxide and water into glucose, but with a number of horrifying details in the middle. So photosynthesis is an endergonic reaction because energy is going into the reaction. Photosynthesis is a redox reaction in which carbon dioxide is being reduced to form glucose. So I guess you'd have to say that the water molecules are being oxidized to release oxygen? Yeah, okay, I think so. So let's look at some chemical structures. Here's the straight chain form of glucose. In an aqueous solution, glucose can fold over on itself and make several different ring structures, but let's ignore that for now. Each molecule of glucose already has several oxygen atoms, but it's not completely oxidized yet. If we count the different kinds of covalent bonds, we have, there's one C double bond O carbonyl group. There are 7 carbon-hydrogen single bonds. There are 5 carbon-oxygen single bonds, 5 oxygen to hydrogen single bonds, and 5 carbon-carbon single bonds. Converting all these other chemical bonds into carbon-oxygen double bonds is going to squeeze out some of that chemical bond energy. Plus, the universe is going to gain some entropy from the brand new carbon dioxide and water molecules bouncing around at random. In cellular respiration, the energy we squeeze out of these chemical bonds in glucose can be turned into a different kind of chemical bond energy in the high-energy phosphoanhydride bonds of ATP. Okay, that's enough for now. For level 2, we're going to start breaking cellular respiration into its component pathways, like glycolysis, the citric acid cycle, and the electron transport chain. In the meantime, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you later.